Um, Representative Craig, Representative Kirkman, and Jackie, I hope I pronounced that right, Jack, Representative Larson, and Chairman Ott. I really appreciate the opportunity to come and see you face to face and address you. I am speaking for informational purposes, and this is really a heads up because it seems pretty obvious to those of us on this side of the table that you're in need of some pretty accurate information, and the way that you're being perceived and the way that so many of these new, so much of the new legislation, mandates, appointments, means you're not really hearing us. The hundreds of thousands of people who've been showing up at the Capitol, we mean business. We've been bringing people to recalls. We've been digging into who writes your bills, who funds your campaigns, where you go on vacation to fundraise, what the ideology behind these decisions are, and specifically, we need to address that the talking point that's being sold to us that so much of the new legislation is supposed to be good for Wisconsin and good for business. We're smarter than that. We see that when you take traditional methods of community cooperation, conversation, and disassemble them, dismember them, disable them, that you are creating an environment of uncertainty for families, for businesses. Families look at how good the schools are. Families look at how the community is. When we look for a house, we want to know, is this going to be a nice place to live? And the last 6 months are changing the way Wisconsin is to live. And we deserve better, and you all remember when it was better. So the information is that we're keeping track of how the push for privatization and trying to streamline government really is a false flag. And what ends up happening, which we've seen in Milwaukee County after Scott Walker tried to privatize prisons, things cost more money after you kill what's already kind of working. Instead of reforming, streamlining something which already exists, which is in fact part of our Constitution, dismembering it has created situations with lack of accountability, lack of transparency. We're seeing nepotism, corruption, cronyism, DNR just today. Koch Industries does a victory lap because the DNR reduces regulations on paper. We're watching this. The corruption of the DHS and train wrecks of incompetence and ideology of Dennis Smith choosing to lose millions of dollars worth of federal funding that people need, that we're getting a black eye in the nation because of binge drinking and alcohol abuse, and grant money which is sitting in front of us is chosen for ideological reasons by insurance lobbyist appointments that are dismembering the way Wisconsin is supposed to work. So the information for you is we're paying attention. We've got thousands of volunteers, a new age of activated citizen journalists digging into who writes your bills, where you get your money, and where you're going after you tank the system now to your private jobs later on. And if you don't represent the people of Wisconsin, we've proven that we'll take you to recalls and we'll win some of those. So you need to have that wake-up call. We're not buying the PR, we're not buying the denial, and we're not buying the way that it's being presented to us about how this is going to make things better for us, because all of us know we're not better off now than we were 6 months ago. We remove accountability and transparency, and then we see people bringing Tea Party lobbyists as mistresses into jobs that they never even applied for.
Mr. House, I don't mean to interrupt you, but we are speaking to the specific resolution here about eliminating the office of Secretary of State and Treasurer. So I'd ask you if you could kind of
Okay.
focus your comments on that, please.
Well, when we eliminate state offices, for example, the Secretary of State and the Treasurer, and you remove the accountability, the tradition, the constitutional grounds for transparency, what we're left with is a need for a job to be done. And then there's the crisis intervention. Well, we really need this. Now we have to go private because we need to move fast. And that's when we've all seen that it gets more expensive, less accountable, and we see a reduction in services, we see a reduction in integrity, we see a reduction in efficiency. So that's why these two offices, it's not time to change those. And when it does go to a public referendum, you're going to lose. Any questions?
Thank you. Questions from Mr. Buss? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Buss or Bliss?
Bliss.
Bliss, I'm sorry.